So we are going to see about Module 1, Part A, Introduction and Overview of Computer Architecture. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can raise your hands and you can ask the question, okay, then and there. If you have any thing to discuss, if you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question. Okay, I hope you all can hear me and you can see the presentation. Can you see the slides are moving? Can anyone unmute and say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I don't, I should feel like I'm having an interactive session with you people in the class. I should not, sometimes I feel like I am simply just showing the PPT and I'm talking, but no response from other students. Yes, Yashwant Reddy, you have anything to say? Yashwant Reddy, you have anything to say? Yes. Okay. So in the chat box, I have posted a poll for just to get some feedback from you regarding online class. Okay, you submit your vote in that chat box. Okay, so today we are going to see about introduction and overview of computer architecture and computer organization. Okay, so I hope you all people nowadays you have been in a generation where you have been very much getting used to technologies. Okay, so you may think all the upcoming classes, you may think like this is very elementary basic version of or basic concepts of a computer, but in detail we are going to study about the origin of computers and what are all the factors that influence with the evolution of computers that we are going to see in the syllabus. Okay, so introduction to computer systems. How many of you know computer? I think everyone has known computer now. Instead of some people might have bypassed the desktop systems and you might have directly using laptop nowadays. But people who have been beside your generation, they might have seen microprocessors and they have seen a computer like a desktop version, a monitor, and then a CPU, keyboard, mouse. Okay, some people might have seen that. They might have people might be using the laptops nowadays. Okay, so we'll see about what is a computer system. It is actually an electronic device which is capable of get the input from the user and it is going to process it and it is going to give the output. This is the basic task any computer will do. It will take the input from you. Okay, for example, I'm going to give a input like 2 plus 2. That is my input actually. Okay, so what will happen? How you will give the input actually? You can give the input using your keyboard or you can give the input using a voice. You have various types of or various versions of giving an input to a computer. Am I right? So the device which is going to get the input from you, that is called as a input device. Okay, so what is this computer is going to do? It is going to process your entire input. Okay, it is going to process it and then what it will do after processing it, it will give it as a output. What is the output can be? It will be the output can be in a form of a character or it can be a form of some voice output or video output, but whatever it may be. Okay, it doesn't mean that a computer can only take a categorical data or numeric data. Even nowadays if we are giving a voice search over Google or using some Alexa devices, what input it is actually taking, whether it is taking our input in a form of a character or alphanumeric value. No, it takes us voice or it will take our video or it can take a photo of it and it will search on its server database and it will process it and it will produce the output. So that is what actually a computer do. So a computer is going to take the input from you, it is going to process it and it is going to produce the output. Okay, which is required in a format which is required by a user. Okay. So the next thing is, what is the use of the computer? Okay, how we are going to interact with the computer. So if you want to interact with this in this version, how you will actually interact? You can't straightly go and talk to a computer, because a computer can understand what? A computer can understand only machine language code. It don't understand our English or your Hindi or Telugu or any human language. A computer cannot understand. The only way is you have to convert your high level language into a low level language. Okay, that is machine language. Only a computer can understand only a machine language. So if you want to interact with the computer, you should have a application software, okay, that will take the input from the user. Okay, so here in this place, here you will be having an application. What is the application I am using? For example, if I am using a calculator, there is software that is called calculator application available in my desktop. I will open the calculator application and I will type this 2 plus 2. I will type and then click enter. What it will do? It will calculate it and then it will get me the output from the calculator. Okay. Wait a minute. 1 minute. Hold on. Okay. So this is what a computer can do. Uh, See, everyone kindly unmute that is mute yourself, because I'm getting some background noise from this. Mute all. Okay. I hope I muted everyone. Okay. So using a application software, you can interact with the computer. This is what a computer system can work. So tell me, can anyone tell me some application software you are usually using that will take the input from the user and give the output? Can you just type it in your chat box? Yes. What happened? Can you just type any application software that you know that will take the input from you and give an output? In your chat box, you can type, okay, calculator that I have given. It should take the input and it should give the output, not only calculator. No, okay. Apart from calculator, you type some other thing. Any application software I'm saying. Okay, compiler. Okay, Rohit has given a nice browser. Okay, the browser is also okay. Google search is very good. It is web-based application software, application environment. Google search. Any other? Yes. Rupak Swami, Jugal Chain. Yes. Run. What run will do? Okay. Run. I don't know what run it is. Okay. Okay. Microsoft developed AI. Okay. Okay. Yes. Juhal Malik. Yes. Start is in computer start search tool. Any answer from girls side? No girls have answered anything. Why? All girls. What doing? Yes, app lock. Okay. Yes, app lock is it is getting our some password or our fingerprint and it is opening the phone. Yes. Any other? Yes, I need all the 60 to answer. Why only 15 to 20 people are answering? Yes, command prompt, video games. Yes. Yes. I need more answers. I'm not asking you to talk. You just type it in chat box. Yes, YouTube, okay, web-based, MS Paint, you're painting something, okay, maps, okay. You think about it, has to process your input and it has to find. Okay, Google find, games, WinWord, Google Translate. Yes, Google Translate is very nice. It is going to get your input, it is going to process it. Translation is done. Yes, Ashwin, nice answer. Facebook, okay. Okay, fine. It is getting all our input, all our personal information it is getting as the input, and it is selling everywhere. Yes. Google Earth, keyboard. Yes. Adil Ahmed keyboard. Yes, keyboard will be getting input. I don't know whether it is processed or not. I think keyboard is okay. Microsoft Teams. Yes, it is getting all our attendance details, meeting details, everything. Google Pay. Yes, Google Pay. Yes. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, I think is camera camera is doing every application software has some form of input and gives some form of outward service. So he has been saturated with ma'am. This is what the answer is. Every application will do like that. He has put an end to everything. Okay, Paytm is fine. Siri is okay, fine. Yes, Abhinav. Jaishpal, yes, nice answers. Okay, so now you got a clarity about what is the application software is. Those who have been unaware of this, you can get some inputs like this in this format. Okay, so many application softwares, even if I don't know some application format, you guys are knowing all these application softwares nowadays. Now, tell me, what is the basic foundation which will run all these things? Okay, what is the basic block, which is going to be the platform where you are going to run all these application? It is nothing but operating system. Okay, this is what actually happens in a computer systems. Okay, this is going, that is OS is going to be the basic basic underlying foundation upon which all the application softwares are going to run, and it is going to communicate, and it is going to finally return the result. So coming back to this, who is actually going to process all this input and going to make the communication with output? Actually, it is going to be the operating system. Okay, so now tell me whether operating system is a hardware or a software. Type it in chat. Whether operating system is a hardware or a software. Whether operating system is a hardware or software. Yes, type it in chat. Why no reply? Can you hear me? You type it in chat whether the operating system which is running, which is processing everything, is a software or hardware. Yes? Why no reply? At least type HW for hardware and SW for software. Just give a try. Yes?
The replies are already there in the chat box.
Okay, okay, okay. It's not loading here. Okay, fine. It's a software. It is an interface. Yes. Devang Padak has given a nice 50-50 like interface. It will act as a bridge. Okay, software. Okay, no one is saying hardware. So you have been aware that it is actually a software. Okay. So operating system, what it actually does is it will be acting as a, actually it is 90%, 95% is going to be a software only, but the only thing is it is having the ability to communicate with the hardware devices. Okay, in case of memory, in case of register, in case of all the interconnecting devices, everything, it can act as a bridge. It is actually a self-made software. Okay, by which is made by our by a human only. Okay, it is not going to be a hardware. Okay, so we'll see what a computer will consist of. Okay, I think these are all basic things. It will contain both the hardware component and software component. Okay, so if we are seeing in looking in detail in with the hardware component, it will be having four basic elementary things. One is going to be the monitor that you know. Okay, mouse and then keyboard, this both are going to be the input, and this is going to be the actual that is the CPU. Okay, which is going to be the system unit which is going to process everything, and all the output interface is going to be the output. Okay, it doesn't mean the monitor is going to do some process. Okay, it is simply going to display whatever this system unit is going to give. Okay, so this is what the hardware component of a computer. Now coming to the software part of the computer, we have millions and millions of software components which are available, which have been developed for the past 30 to 40 years. Okay, we have n number of softwares in with different versions, with different various upgradation and updations. We are having many software components that we are using day to day for day to day activities are being developed as a software component. Okay, so now coming to the actual, now we got the idea of what is a computer, what is a hardware component, what is a software component. Now we are going to see about what is a computer architecture. Okay, if you want to deal with the specification with respect to the hardware and software, the interconnection with the computer within the computer system, then it is called as computer architecture. It is purely depend on the functionality of the hardware unit. That is, it will be dealing mainly with the CPU of the CPU which has been designed for the computer. Okay, so what is actually computer architecture? It is going to be dealing with the how the software and hardware is going to interact with each other. Okay, in the form of a system unit, that is called as a computer architecture. Okay, so our title of our syllabus is going to be computer architecture and organization, or computer organization and architecture. So what is a computer architecture? See here, you have a processor. Okay, you have all these hardware devices. It is going to be a monitor, it is going to be a keyboard, mouse, computer disk, okay, network port. All these things are being connected using a interconnection device that is called as a bus. Okay, for example, if you look into the CPU, you can see many buses as a strips, okay, which is going to going to act as a interconnecting interface. Okay, so using these system bus, okay, you have two types of buses available. If you are going to connect only with all the hardware components which has been externally connected, then it is called as an expansion bus. Within the computer, that is inside the CPU, if the processor inside the CPU, for example, you have Intel processor. Okay, some processor you are going to have, it itself going to connect with the interact with the primary storage, that is called as RAM. Okay, that is random access memory, which is going to be the primary storage. What is this RAM actually? Whatever the data you want to pull from your hard disk, it will be loaded into the main memory, and then only it will be executed. That is called as a primary storage. If the Intel processor that you have as a processor, if it wants to interact with the primary storage, it will be making use of the connection called as system bus. Okay, so this form of specification which deals with how the hardware, okay, how the hardware component and the software component inside the computer is going to interact, that is called as computer architecture. Okay, so how all this is going to, you can say that processor is going to take the data from disk through which interface it is taking through this bus. Okay, in between, for example, you have a calculator which is installed. Okay, you have a calculator. Okay, from this it is going to get the input, it will be coming here, it will process it. Okay, the processor will process it and it will give the output, where it will output here in the display. Okay, the interaction between the hardware component and the software application is going to be act as a computer architecture. Okay, and then what is actually computer organization? Now we have seen about computer architecture. Now what is computer organization? So if you are going to evaluate or investigate with the implementation of every hardware component which is available inside your CPU, then it is called as a computer organization. Okay, so it will be a study of how the hardware devices and the other hardware devices are being interconnected and how they are communicating, then it is called as computer organization. So architecture is between hardware and software, but computer organization is between the hardware devices itself, how they are operating, how they are communicating, then it is called as a computer organization. Okay, so now we'll see another difference between this computer architecture and computer organization. So since this architecture is going to be between hardware and software, it will be dealing with the logical aspects of how they are working. But here since it is going to be the hardware to hardware communication, then it is going to be the physical aspect of communication in order to study the overall working of a computer. So now coming to the functions of a computer, very basic 4 functions. Before this, you will be knowing about what is processing. The 4 functionalities are processing the data, storage of the data, movement of the data, and control of the data. So you are getting an input, okay, and then you are getting it processed, and then you are getting an output. Am I right? This is what actually usually happen. Okay, for getting the data, you have to go with the storage of the data. If you want to process it, you have to go with this first unit. If you want to move the data from input unit to output unit, you need to have the movement of the data. Okay, and then controlling. The input should get the data from the user and it has to process and it has to output. There should not be any deviation from this workflow. That is called as controlling of the data. Okay, that is controlling the entire process. Controlling doesn't mean the data is controlled, the overall functionality is being controlled. It is called as the functions of a computer. Okay, now what are all the basic components of a computer which makes a computer functional? If any one of this functional unit is being down, the operation of the computer will be functionless. Okay, it won't be functioning. Okay, first component is CPU, that is central processing unit, where the processor is going to be there, and then you have memory unit, you have input output unit, and then system interconnection. This is going to be the buses, that is process, that is the system bus. Okay, system bus that we have seen in the previous thing, and then expansion bus. Okay, so now coming to the components of this overall component of a computer. Okay, so you will be having this architecture is called as von Neumann architecture. We will study it separately in the upcoming module. This is going to be von Neumann architecture. Neumann architecture. Okay, so you will have an input unit, you have an output unit. Okay, and then you have data here. This data will be there, and then you have a memory unit. Okay, in CPU, inside CPU, you have a unit called as ALU. ALU is nothing but arithmetic and logic operation. What is arithmetic operation? It is going to be addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. What is logical operation? Greater than, less than, equal to, not equal to, or some of the logical operation. What is this control unit actually? It will be acting as a overall controller for which will make sure that all the operations are moving on correct direction, whether the input is taken properly, whether it is processed properly. All the controlling will be happen only in this control unit. And then you have registers. Okay, what is this register actually? Register is nothing but a memory component which will store the data for processing. Okay, it won't keep on having the same data again and again, but it will be like a ad hoc basis. It is on demand. The registers will be having some data. For example, if I am giving 2 plus 2, okay, in the registers it will have 2 plus 2 at the time. If I am giving 4 plus 7, next time the registers will be replaced by 4 and 7. 4 will replace 2 and 7 will replace the 2. So the registers are going to be available inside the main memory. okay, which will be available to process the data at that particular point of time. Once the computer is switched off, it is like a volatile memory. Okay, volatile memory means, what is volatile memory? Once the data, once the operation is over, the data will be removed from the memory storage, that is registers. Okay, so registers, otherwise we can say it as a cache memory. Okay, that is also a buffer place where you can store the data on ad hoc basis. Okay, and then this is actually the actual memory area where your data is processed and its results are being stored for a permanent storage. This is what the components of a functional components of a computer. Okay, so this is what is this data? Here there will be a movement of data, but this arrows is nothing but the movement of control. Okay, this is going to be data will come here, data will go here, data will be fetched from memory, and then in between this ALU, control unit and registers, there won't be any passage of data. Instead there will be a control will be there. Okay, overall see here, in from arithmetic and logic unit, you will have a control unit, control movement also, along with the data movement will be also available. Okay, so this is what the von Neumann architecture. And then the next thing is, what is a functional view of a computer? Okay, so you will have an operating system environment upon which you will get the input and output. There will be a data movement will be there, there will be a control movement mechanism will be there, and then data storage facility will be available and data processing facility will available. Okay, so data movement will be from input to output. Okay, control mechanism will be available in control unit, data storage facility will be available in memory unit, that is data processing facility, overall facility will be available in the central processing unit. Okay, now we'll see how the data are getting moved. Okay, so the movement will be, the data will come here. Okay, and then the control will check for the data and it will check whether it has to be stored or it has to be processed, and then it will send to the output device, that is called as data movement. Storage movement, if you want your control to specifically, I don't want to process anything, but instead I have to store my data, then I can go for storage movement. Okay, if I want my data to get processed from and to the storage unit, for example, I want to I'm giving the command a plus b. Okay, I'm having a is having the data 2, b is having the data 3, which is available in my storage unit. In my memory it is available. So what it will do, it will get the data, fetch the data from the storage storage device, and the process will be done here. Okay, through what, they straightly from storage to processing, there won't be any connection. Try to understand that. It will go to the control unit and this control unit will redirect to the processing unit, and then only the operation will happen. This is what actually the movement processing of the data from or to the control unit. And once again, after processing, I want to store the data. Again it will go to the control unit and then only it will store the data. This is what the processing from and to the storage. This is another operation. The other set of operation is nothing but operation processing from storage to input output unit. So what it will do, from that is from storage it will go to the control unit, process it, and then again after processing it, simply it will go and give it to the input output unit. So this is what usually happens in processing of storage. Okay, so now we'll see what are all the top level view of a computer. Inside a computer you will have a central processing unit, memory unit, and then system interconnection. What is this actually? It's nothing but bus. Okay, and then this bus is going to connect all these three units. Okay, and then for computers you will be having some peripherals. Peripheral devices, nothing but what are all the peripheral devices which is available will be included, and then the communication lines which is used for other communications. Okay, and then now you have you know about computer. Inside computer, what will be available? Input output will be there, memory will be there, CPU will be there, buses will be there. So now inside CPU, what are all the components are available? You have registers, ALU, and then control unit, which are being connected through the bus that is available inside the CPU. This bus is called as a system bus. Okay, and then what is the structure of a control unit? Within control unit, what is available? Okay, inside control unit, you have sequencing login. Okay, sequencing login is nothing but it will check for what is the sequence of operations which has to be carried out, and it will keep on recording as a log file. For example, if you are just typing something and if you are undoing several times, all the operations that you have carried out for the last few minutes in that particular word file or something will be stored. That is called as sequencing login. That is, all the operations that is happening inside a computer will be sequentially logged in into a file, so that the control unit will keep track on whether the sequences are passing the test conditions, whether they are properly working or not. Okay, that is called as sequencing login. And then control unit will be working along with registers and decoders. Okay, so if your data is coming, it will be encoded, that is, it will be encoded, it will be changed in some format which will be understood by the by a computer in case of machine language code, and then it will be decoding so that a human can understand in the high level language. So the low level language code will be coming here. The control unit will encode it and it will process it. After processing, if it is giving a result which is a machine language code, whether a human can understand? No, a human cannot understand. So it will be converted into a high level language. That is called as the unit, that is the task of a control unit, registers and decoders. And then you have another important unit that is called as control memory unit. Okay, so apart from the computer's own memory, okay, the control unit will be specifically independently having a memory unit, in spite of which if any failure happens in the CPU's memory, this control memory will be having all its sequence. It is like it will be storing all the activities that happened inside the computer, and it will keep on recording the checkpoints. For example, 2020. Okay, for this particular day, it will create a checkpoint. Okay. And then for 2021 it will create one checkpoint, and then in the middle of 2021 it is again creating a checkpoint. In case of any failure in your entire system, okay, using this control unit, you can go back and you can recover your entire system, go back to its state where it was available in the normal functional state, that you can recover. For that reason, the control memory will be independently working, so that it won't be getting involved with the actual memory unit which is available inside a computer. Okay, so it will be separately working. So we'll see about this units in detail inside CPU. Inside CPU, you have arithmetic and logic unit for arithmetic operations and logical operations, and then control unit. So it takes the input from the user, from the input devices, and it will send to the processing unit. And once again, it won't simply send and it will stop its activity. Again, it will fetch the output from the processing unit and it will transmit back to the output unit. Okay, so what is a register? Register is actually a storage unit available inside the CPU, okay, which will be collected from memory components which are available in the higher levels. For example, cache memory. You have many levels of memories are available: L1 register, L2 register, cache memory, and then you have buffer, and then you have primary storage, primary memory, and then you have secondary. So you have n levels of memory levels which is available. Okay, and then what is actually a main memory? Okay, so main memory is going to be the major component which is responsible for any form of data and instruction to be fetched. It has to be processed. Everything will be happening only inside the main memory. Okay, so it is going to be a hardware device, okay, which is usually designed so that it will keep on preserving all the information which is going in and out of the input unit and output unit and processing unit. So if you want to do any sort of processing which has to be done by the processor, the main memory is actually the thing. Okay, for example, if they are saying like 2 GB RAM, what is the 2 GB RAM? Main memory is nothing but RAM. Okay, at any point it can handle 2 GB of operational data to process. So that is called as the main memory. For example, you have Intel, you have many other cores of Intel, you have i5, 7 generation, n number of generations are going to be available in the past, and in future also you will be seeing many processors. So the processor is nothing but the main memory. Okay, and then input unit, as we have seen, there may be any type of input devices, joystick, keyboard, mouse, scanner, and even biometric, even ID, your ID card scanner, that is now QR code, everything which is going to get scanned are all being handled by the input unit. So you can look into the output unit, webcam, speakers, monitors, printers, microphone. Okay, so these are all some of the output unit. Okay, system interconnection. So this is what I have mentioned you earlier. System bus, it is going to be act as a communicating component. Okay, if you are just opening your CPU, you can see this. Okay, even your inside laptops, they may be available. Okay, so for connecting the computer CPU, main memory and secondary memory, all sort of communication between any hardware component is being carried out using this system bus. Okay, so you have registers. Okay, it is going to be the memory unit which is available inside the processor. Okay, and then after this primary memory, you have cache memory. Inside this cache memory, the registers are going to get available. Okay, usually the memory secondary memory devices are being less expensive than that of the primary memory devices. The reason why is the configuration of such primary memory is being very on demand, and it is being designed in such a way that it can not only store, it can keep on moving the data on demand. That is called as the primary memory, and it will be move on to the cache memory. Okay, so you have this hierarchy like secondary memory, and then you have primary memory, and then cache memory, and then only the registers. So this is going to be from your hardware hard disk. You can keep the data from there. You can send some data to process to the main memory. What this primary memory will do is it will send the data to the cache memory. Here the cache memory will be sending the data to the registers where the actual work is being done. There are many types of registers: L1 registers, L2 registers, L3 registers, which will depends upon the size of the registers. We have many types of registers. So we'll see in detail in the upcoming sessions. Okay, and then inside the registers you have two types of registers. One is user defined variable registers. Okay, and then you have control and status registers. Okay. So if you are having user variable registers, the major task of this is going to be it will minimize the references available in the main memory. Okay, so control and status registers, it will tell whether the register is overfill, Okay, whether the process is going on correctly, or for example, if the input is coming, the control register will keep a check on, like in this. Okay, input and output register. For example, this register is there. If it is 0, it means that the input is not yet received. If it is changed to 1, it will tell the input has been received. So some control and status registers will be there in order to make the entire functionality of your CPU to get processed in a very good manner. Okay, and then there are different types of registers are available for the user variable. One is general purpose, and then data register, address register, and condition code registers. Okay, and then we will see one by one what is the general purpose registers. Okay, these are all the 4 types of user variable registers. And then general purpose registers, the program this registers have been assigned by the programmer. Okay, this is mainly used to have the operand for any opcode. That is operand. For example, if I am saying this as a plus b, okay, then a is plus is the operator and a and b are the operand. Okay, they will say it as the names that we are giving for any variable is called as a operand. Okay, opcode is nothing but the mission code that will be converted converted in so that the registers can store the data. For example, add a plus b. Okay, add a comma b. If I am giving such command, that add a comma b is called as the opcode. Opcode is nothing but the operational code, that is a mission code that is being used so that the operation can be happened inside using the registers. Okay, so some registers will be dedicated for floating point operation, some for stack operation. So it depends upon the purpose of the registers you are using. Okay, and then data registers. See here, this general purpose register is only for having the operand and opcode. Data registers are the registers which are actually going to store the data. These registers only holds the data. The only restriction of this registers is this cannot be used for operand address calculation. Okay, so this is what this is purely meant for data, not for any operational purposes. Okay, now not for any address calculation purposes or operand address calculation purposes, simply for holding the data. Okay, so I think we can stop here for today's class. Okay, so we'll stop with this for today's class. You can just go into the assignments. I will launch a quiz for today. Those who are attending the quiz right now will be taken, will be given attendance. Okay, wait a minute. I think. You go into assignments tab. Okay, and you can you can start taking the quiz for today. Once you have taken the quiz, you can leave the class. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can raise your hands and you can you can ask some questions. Okay, let's make this class to be interactive. I think one person.
The assignment, this is not the assignment.
Wait a minute. Yes, assignment will be opened now. Yes, it is opened now.
Where is it, ma'am?
In assignments tab, you go into that. You go into our teams, computer architecture and organization. You click on assignments tab. See, those who are not attending the quiz will be marked absent. Because I don't want to take the quiz. I don't want to take the attendance fully because you have to unmute yourself. You have to talk.
Ma'am, is it multiple choice?
Ah, yes. Okay, I am ending the meeting now. So we'll see